At the Office, Cleveland's home for sports talk that never clocks out. From the latest headlines to heated debates, we're diving into everything sports. It's your hosts, Noah, John, and Erik.
Hey, everybody. All right, little hiccup there because Noah was supposed to unmute me. Apparently, he forgot automatically out of the gate. I'm going to mute him so he can't disagree. But welcome into the office. Let's just move past that. We're at the office, the show where we talk all things sports. I'm your host, Erik, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, John and Noah. You can join us at the office as well. Send us a comment on YouTube, Facebook, or X, or you can call or text the show at 216-260-3433. That's 216-260-3433. I know we were off last week, but I assure you guys we do know what we're doing. We'll find out if that's the case for sure. Noah, welcome back to America. This guy, I was hoping he'd be a lobster because he was earlier this week coming back from Turks and Caicos. How are you fellas doing?
I'm good, man. And just on the record, it wouldn't let me unmute you because you muted yourself. So that was the issue there. Yeah. But it feels good to be back in America for 48 hours to turn around and go to beautiful Belize for the weekend with my family, and shout out the girlfriend Bree. But it's good to be back, talk a little bit of sports before I hit the road again, and then, come back and do the same thing again next week.
This guy is just trying to mic drop on us. Like, first of all, the three of us on this show have an agreement that we're going to have each other's backs if we win the lottery. Noah was in Turks and Caicos, and now he leaves for Belize, and you're telling me he didn't win? This is bullshit, and we're going to talk after the show. But, John, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I was going to say something similar. I'll be like, hey, we all thought we didn't get paid for this podcast, and Noah's raking the 20K and keeping it for himself, and we just get nothing or whatever's left. But I'm good. A lot of midges, really buggy, and like they're right on the lake. But other than that, I can't complain, man.
It's the time of the year. It happens twice a year, but that I absolutely hate Cleveland. And I know it won us a Indians playoff game back in the day, but the midges really suck. It's so annoying when you walk outside and you like Noah and I walk into the store earlier today from work and you're mid-sentence and one just flies in your mouth. It's enough to ruin the day.
Or six.
Always. Or six is the exact thing. Midges are the worst thing to happen to Northeast Ohio since the Cuyahoga River fire, and that's right behind me now. So I'm feeling a little spicy about the river.
That's a hot take. Not from Cleveland. We don't have tornadoes very often. We don't get earthquakes or tsunamis or hurricanes. I mean, all in all, as far as natural disasters go, bugs that don't bite for 3 or 4 days is it could be worse.
Yeah, but they're the absolute worst. It's all over your car. It's all over the doors. It's all over the floors. It's all over whatever it is. I'm just the least, like, you guys know me. I'm a pretty neat, freaky kind of guy. So to have something just invade and just cause everything to be messy for a week, it irks me. It irks me.
It is the week that I'm thankful that I take the elevator to work. I walk from my place. I take the elevator. I don't have to go outside if I don't want to. Same goes for winter. It's kind of nice. Anyway, I want to move on. Enough midge talk because we have a show to do and we have some fun topics tonight. We're going to talk Browns, OTAs. We're going to talk Steelers, believe it or not. That's a change for this show. And we're going to talk some rivalries, personal level rivalries. But first, we're going to start as we always start, and that's with 30-second takes. What I want to know, gentlemen, is if you root for the team that eliminated your team in the playoffs. So obviously the Cavs were just eliminated by the Pacers. The Pacers are going on and looking pretty good. They look like a team that wants to win. So are you rooting for the Pacers? Are you rooting for somebody else? And in general, do you typically root for the team that ousts you? Let's start it off. Since he's only in America for 24 hours, let's start with Noah.
Yeah, to me, it depends on the situation, right? If I get beat by, say, the Michigan Wolverines, I'm not cheering for them to then go on and win a national championship because it is always forever and always fuck Michigan. But when it comes down to some of these moments, and yes, Tyrese Halliburton was a little cocky. There was a fight involved. But if you're looking specifically at the Pacers, I don't think it's the biggest deal to cheer for or against because they're another small market team doing their thing with not as much star power as some other teams have had or can have in the past.
I like it. I don't hate on Tyrese being confident. I think it's fun. Doing the Reggie Miller choke was a lot of fun. But then again, that one wasn't against us. John, give me your take.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Noah. Overall, no, I never root for the team that beats us. As a matter of fact, the team I root for the hardest is the team that's playing the team that beat us. But in this case, it's a little different. Little engine that could in Indiana going up against the behemoth that is the New York Knicks. I know they haven't had a ton of on-court success, but in a market that large, I just can't root for a team from New York. So for this NBA playoffs, yes, I'm actually hoping that the Pacers win. Overall, no. I almost always root against the team that put us out of the tournament.
Yeah, I'll go here too. I kind of echo the same sentiments. I usually root for the Big Ten, never Michigan. Also, fuck Penn State. James Franklin's a fraud. But in this case, yeah, I'm rooting for the Pacers. What we saw out of them, we saw a tough physical team, but they never went over the edge, in my opinion. They played us hard. They didn't play us bad. And I saw a team that wanted it more. It's what the Cavs should be. We're soft. So, yeah, I'm rooting for the Pacers. They're scrappy, small market, and I'm here to see them win.
Nice. I will say this. You guys both referenced the Big Ten, and I think it's interesting. I definitely root for the Big Ten against the SEC. There's something that pissed me off so bad about the SEC and the whole SEC chance when your ass goes to Kentucky and you go to Vanderbilt and you're rooting for Alabama and Georgia like you went there. I thought it was ridiculous. So when Indiana or, even a Penn State goes up against the Crimson Tide, give me the Penn State Nittany Lions every time, and I'll go a step farther. I don't hate Michigan beating Alabama. That's the only team, literally the only team. But this is going to be a hot take. Maybe it should be the end of the show. I root for Michigan when they don't play the Buckeyes because then when we beat them, it means that much more. Now, after they beat us and went on to the playoff, but I definitely wasn't rooting for Georgia or Alabama over a Big Ten team, even if it's Michigan.
I don't even know where to start here. First of all, yes, would an undefeated Ohio State beating an undefeated Michigan make the game that much better? Absolutely. But you don't root for them. Are you kidding me?
That's literally what I said. I don't so much root for them, but I prefer they win over Alabama.
No, you don't. I was rooting for Bama hard. There's one team you never root for, ever, and it's the team up north.
Says the Yankees fan. We can keep it moving.
Says John Cooper Light over here. Are you kidding me? You never root for Michigan. First of all, rooting for the Yankees is more acceptable than rooting for Michigan if you're a Buckeye fan.
No, just it's because pretty damn bullshit. But keep going.
Pretty damn close, brother. It is pretty damn close.
The rivalry? Right. Are you kidding me?
No, I'm not. Being a Yankees fan is disgusting. Don't try to minimize it. It's not
even about the. We're off for one goddamn week and the sky is falling. There is no way you can root for Michigan ever.
I'll say it again. I didn't root for Michigan. I rooted against Alabama, and they happen to be playing Michigan.
No, that's unacceptable. The
commercial
where the guy rolls out of his car because he's on a first date and she goes, "Oh, I went to Michigan, go blue." That's accurate as shit. You cannot ever root for Michigan. I don't care if they're playing the Monstars from whatever that movie was.
Space Jam. You couldn't remember Space Jam?
No, but I remembered Monstars. You can never root for Michigan. Ever.
That's false. You can do whatever you want, but I understand where it comes
as
from.
A Buckeye fan, it's bad enough Steelers fans that are Buckeye fans.
You are a Buckeye fan and say fan. You're arguing this like you.
That's a straw man argument. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about Michigan, Ohio State.
Go ahead, Noah.
So I am in the middle of both of you guys here, where I get what you're saying, John, but it's also never, ever, ever root for Michigan.
Thank you. Period. Never.
But I also get wanting to root against the SEC. I also get wanting to root against certain teams that might irk you more. It's just like if
I get it too,
even
but not Michigan.
That's fair. Yep, I agree. Okay.
Gotta agree to disagree.
There's a reason when John left the job that the three of us worked that we changed our internal teams group chat to Benedict Arnold, or John became Benedict. We changed it to Merc or whatever we changed it to. And this is following through on this take too. This is your wildest, hottest take I think you've had on the show.
Yeah. I'm only going to take about one thimbleful of shit off of a bleeding Yankees fan.
Come on.
Okay, John, you're leaning into it a little bit. I know we give him shit for like
he owns. Wait. No, he owns Yankees merchandise and
owned.
Proud of it. I don't own any Michigan anything. I never have, never would. I just said,
but you still got that Tennessee jersey in your closet, do you not?
All I said.
Yeah, that's right. SEC Tennessee fan.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Do you think the rivalry between Indians, Guardians, and Yankees is the same as Michigan, Ohio State?
Do I think the rivalry is the same?
Yeah.
No, probably not.
Then equating the same thing, liking the Yankees when I was a kid. No, I don't own any of their gear anymore.
Jerseys and wearing them.
When I was a kid, the greatest shortstop to ever play the game? Sure.
That's also not
I'll admit that all day. You're probably a Nomar Garcia Parra fan. Anyway, listen, I want to move on because we're getting nowhere. John's a Michigan fan. Craziest thing I've ever heard. But
wow,
At the Office is sponsored by D&D Meadery, the finest mead in Northeast Ohio. It's made here in Ohio, not Michigan. Derek and Dominic, twin brothers with a passion for craftsmanship. They took that love for winemaking straight from their ancestors in Germany, and they brought it to us here to share with all of us. It's in their blood, centuries of tradition, now bottled up for you to enjoy. And they're not just making mead. They're bringing an ancient drink back to life, one pour at a time. Let me tell you, gentlemen, I've had their gold-winning honey wine, quite a few bottles of it. And it's the real deal. It's good stuff. I know both of you enjoy it. They have a few new flavors out that I've been wanting to try recently, but you guys tell me. I mean, I'm not making this up. It's good stuff.
Yeah, no, that stuff is fantastic. John even held up one of the new flavors. Is that blueberry, my friend? Oh, he's got not one, but two bottles now. Look at him go.
Look at this guy.
Put my money where my mouth is. This is actually the blueberry blackberry honey wine. It was fantastic too. Not as diverse or versatile as the main honey wine. I'm not going to put any of the blueberry and barbecue sauce or in a mixer, but excellent sipping drink as well. Shout out. That's 2 for 2.
Imagine that the Go Blue guy got blueberry, but I'm glad that you like it. Noah, you tell me your thoughts.
Yeah, I already did, and I'm going to stop real quick and get in here and play mediator. You guys got to let it drop. It's over with. John's not a Michigan fan. Eric's not a Yankees fan. We're leaving that in the last segment.
Thank you, Noah. I didn't have to say it for myself. I was like, how many times are you going to hit me with it?
Right. So anyway, D&D Meadery, fantastic. Really appreciative that they sponsor our show. And I can't wait to try some of the new flavors when I'm finally settled back down here in the States.
And when you turn 21, that'll be great. Here's the best part. If you use code @the-office-CLE, worst code ever, we're going to fix that at some point, but @the-office-CLE, when you order, you'll get an extra 5% off your order. And if you order 2 or more bottles, you'll get this free shot glass. John, do you have the shot glass?
Well, I didn't want to make it sound like I put it in the dishwasher before you guys did, so it's been gone for a while.
Oh, you broke yours too? What? Okay.
I don't want to throw our sponsor under the bus because the shot glass was dope, but yeah, I used it twice, put it in the dishwasher in week 1, and I haven't had it since.
Wash the shot glass.
Don't put it in the dishwasher. I do have mine. It's just in a different location right now. But if you order 2 or more bottles, you'll get a free shot glass with your purchase. Visit dndmeadery.org. You can purchase online, or you can find a retail location near you where you can purchase. Must be 21 or older. Please drink responsibly. All right, gentlemen, I think we need to shake it off, as Taylor would say, and get the divisiveness gone from us because we got some fun topics. First, though, we're going to start. It's a little weird because we're going to start with the Steelers. It's a newer segment that we've been doing for a couple weeks now. Noah, why don't you hit it? That's right. Around the water cooler. It's reserved for topics that take a little more time than 30 seconds, but don't deserve, especially in the Steelers case, a full topic length. And that is what we're talking about right now. And that's whether or not the Steelers are going to be a threat this year. Should anybody be worried about them, either in the AFC North or the broader NFL? Noah, I let you start 30-second take. So, John, give me your take first.
Yeah, I can see why you'd look at the roster and say no. I can see why you'd have an argument against it. I can see why, as a Browns fan, you'd be optimistic that this might be the year you get over on the Steelers. But Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season, and this team is always prepared. They always get the most out of their talent. And if there's one thing I know, it's that they know how to rally the troops. So if you're saying, do I have the Steelers playing into February and competing for a Super Bowl? No. If you're saying, do I expect them to beat the Baltimore Ravens and win the division? The answer is still no. But anybody who knows anything about the NFL and has watched it for the last 40 years can never say the Steelers shouldn't be taken seriously or that the Steelers are incapable of being a threat to the AFC North. Are the Steelers a threat to the AFC North? As the question states, you bet your ass they are. And I don't care who's quarterback because they play great defense. They have a great home field advantage. They have an excellent coach. They have one of the most well-respected and well-run franchises in the NFL. At risk of being called a Steelers fan by Erik just because I'm telling the truth about how they are and who they are.
I thought we were moving on.
Yeah, there is a big gap between being a threat and being a Super Bowl champ or contender. But if the question is, are the Steelers a threat to the AFC North and potentially beyond? They are every single year they take the field.
I want to jump in here real quick, Noah, because I have a feeling I know your take here. First, I want to say John says I can't drop things, this guy. But second of all, I'm so split because I can go either way here. I could see this being the first year that the Steelers aren't a 500 team. But when I say that out loud, I think it's absolutely crazy. Because, John, you're right. They do have one of the best coaches in the NFL. I know Noah will disagree with that point. But they have one of the best coaches in the NFL that does more with less. Now, does he do less with more? Yeah, I think he does that too. We're not talking about winning a Super Bowl here, as you said. We're talking about competing in the AFC North. And what we do know is the guys that will be playing for him will be ready. That said, they didn't really make big moves this offseason that made sense. Yeah, they went and got DK Metcalf, but you say, okay, who's throwing to him? That's interesting. Not sure. They do have an elite defense, but as we saw last year, any game that TJ Watt sits out of, that defense crumbles pretty quick, which is kind of unbelievable that he has, he steps up so much for them. That said, I could see them being the number 2 team in the North. That seems crazy because you have a very good Baltimore team that will probably take it. You have a pretty damn good Cincinnati team that re-signed all of its weapons. And then you have a Browns team that I'm not sure what we're going to do. I think it's going to be better than most people are projecting, but I can also see us being in the basement of the North. So for me, if I'm a betting man, I'm probably betting on Tomlin and being above 500, maybe squeaking into the playoffs. I don't know. They clearly got to do something about quarterback, but I wouldn't bet against them at this point. Noah?
Well, super quick, 20-second on top of that, just because you hit one of the points I wanted to hit. In how many of the last few seasons where they did go 500 or better was Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, or, Tommy Maddox, the fucking quarterback? Not knowing who the quarterback is doesn't necessarily mean they're not capable of winning 9 games.
It's a fair point because, Ben Roethlisberger was how many years ago now?
A lot.
2020?
Mm-hmm.
So, not a bad point. Noah, give me your take.
Yes, thank you. Finally, I was about 4 or 5 times there.
You were what? Do that one more time.
Listen, I think this is very, very, very important to have this conversation. Tim Lyons says it best in the chat. Tomlin and the Steelers have lost 6 first-round games in a row. 1 more, and he'll be tied with Marvin Lewis with 7. What do you think of Marvin Lewis as a coach, first of all, just to to piggyback on my point from earlier episodes.
It's a solid coach. It wasn't great.
Yeah, where is he now?
Doesn't matter. Same place as the last 82 Browns coaches. The question wasn't, do you think he's better
okay,
than Marvin Lewis?
I just wanted to hit a point there before I continue. So, Erik, you make the fantastic, fine, important point of the fact that they didn't make any really big moves. DK, of course, is a fantastic move. They signed him to an extension. Doesn't make sense, though. They think they're getting Aaron Rodgers. It sounds like they're getting Aaron Rodgers, but who knows where he is right now. Mason Rudolph is currently the QB1. I saw a tweet today from a Steelers reporter, Steelers fan, one of the prominent people on X for the Steelers, saying that they could see Mason Rudolph having a Sam Darnold-esque season this year. Mason Rudolph played meaningful football last year, gentlemen, for the Tennessee Titans. He had 1,500 yards, 9 touchdowns, 9 interceptions on a 55.5 QBR. You guys talk about this team having an elite defense. I agree in theory, but they are both regressing, something that Tim Lyons has also pointed out in the chat. TJ Watt in the last 3 games of the season had no sacks, no turnovers, 1 TFL. ESPN projects TJ Watt to finish with 50 tackles and 10 sacks, which is a full regression compared to what we've seen in years past. I'm not saying TJ Watt's bad at football. I'm saying TJ Watt's getting older. He's regressing a bit. It happens. Same thing with
Minka.
Myles
is regressing? Just out of curiosity, real quick.
No, he's younger.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not there yet. TJ Watt's about to be 31.
Carry on.
Minka Fitzpatrick, 0 interceptions the season before, 1 interception last season. Also regressing. Kind of feels like they don't know what to do with him all the time. That's all fine and dandy. On top of the fact that they ship out a wide receiver option, which is probably a good move given their track record of shipping out wide receivers, talking about George Pickens, obviously, attitude problems, being late to meetings, yelling at teammates on the sideline, jogging on a pick 6, blah, blah, blah. And I wrap this all up to say that if there is a year to think that the Steelers are finally going to go and be under 500, this is the year. As a betting man, would you bet against Mike Tomlin, who has done this and somehow made it at least 9-8? No, I would be stupid to come here on the show and say that. But Erik, when you make the point of, I look at what they've done, and for me to be like, yeah, they'll go 9-8, I feel like I'm insane because it's insane.
I am split. First of all, I want to make one point because I think you're completely off base. Myles Garrett and TJ Watt are 1 year apart. Myles Garrett turns 30, TJ Watt turns 31, and they're 2 months apart. So bad take there. But yeah, I stand by what I said. I'm conflicted. Now, I'll say this. John, what did we bet dumplings on recently? Because I can't keep them straight anymore.
No idea. 2 different things, but
it was like the Browns.
Oh, it was the Browns record.
Wins.
Browns record.
Yeah.
All right. New rule. We're going to mark the date down, like write it down when we make bets so that we can actually reference the show. But Noah, are you willing to do a bet, 1 single dumplings, order of dumplings?
No.
I say they will go above 500. You say under?
No, I already said if I'm a betting man, I'm not betting on them to go under 500. I ended my take with that. No, I'm not betting you that.
So here's a way to reframe it, because I like where you were headed, Erik, even though he's not going to do the bet. Also, you referring to where's Marvin Lewis now and then dropping Mason Rudolph that line from Tennessee is fucking wild. But anyway, that's not the point.
Yeah, how did Marvin Lewis get dragged into that? I know he didn't win a playoff game, but that was wild.
He was like, I was waiting for this take for so long.
It was referencing Tim's comment, to be fair. It was referencing Tim's comment where he said he was about to tie Marvin Lewis. Let me pull it back up real quick. Tomlin and the Steelers have lost 6 first-round games in a row. 1 more, and he'll be tied with Marvin Lewis at 7. I was just using that to start buffering my Steelers hate speech. But yes, that is
Tomlin
funny to go.
Did win a Super Bowl, but go on, John.
With the team that was handed to him.
To back out of the banter, because I know, Noah, you don't like arguing semantics or when we start bickering. Let me just take a big step back and say, how about you answer the question?
Okay.
You talk shit about the Steelers for 5 minutes and then said, but a crazy man would bet against them. They're going to win 9 games. If you win 9 games this division, you're a threat. It doesn't mean you're going to win the division. So the question is, are the Steelers a threat to the AFC North? Can we get a yes or a no as opposed to Steelers hate, but then yeah, they're probably a threat?
So not everything in life is black and white, right? So I'm going to give you a caveat.
Yeah, come on.
Give you a caveated answer. No, I'm going to give you a caveated answer of I think the Steelers are going to be bad this year. I also said this last year. They were not good last year, but they still made the playoffs.
So you think the Steelers will be bad, but you don't want to bet that they'll win less than 9 games?
They're going to be in that 7-9 range because that's just what they do.
I just think this could be the year. Yeah, that's not that bad when you're playing in the North.
Well, is the North really that strong anymore? We're talking about us, them, the Bengals, who were horrible last year. No offense to Tim Lyons. They played underneath their own. Well, they weren't. Yeah, they were bad for a while there, and then they finally caught fire at the end and still missed the playoffs. So you have us, and then you have the Ravens, who have won it multiple times. I love how Tim Lyons just asked us how much is egg rolls instead of dumplings.
They don't have egg rolls.
At the risk of sounding redundant, I'm going to say it again. You want to answer the question?
No, I think the Steelers are not a threat to anything because they're a first-round exit. I don't think they're winning the AFC.
No. We said threat in the North or overall. We weren't saying they're going to go on a playoff tear. No one said that.
So a threat to me is to win the AFC North. No, I don't think they'll win the AFC North. Are they a threat beyond? No, because I don't think they're making it out of the first round. That's the exact question.
I would say a threat is being able to knock somebody else out of the playoffs.
Agreed.
And I think make a
run at it even if you fall short.
I don't think they could knock someone out in the actual playoffs. Are you saying like someone in
for a spot? Yeah.
Well, we're talking semantics now. I'm not going to get goaded into taking a bet that I don't want to take. So you guys can keep trying for the next 3 to 10 minutes. It's still going to be the same answer. No,
John and I put our money where our mouth is, and no, it doesn't.
And it is a sports debate.
It's just not a bet I would take. Sometimes you got to be smart with the money.
To be fair,
I'm trying to gain clarity on where you stand. That's all. I just, you're out of one side of your mouth. You're saying, I'd be an idiot to bet against Mike Tomlin. I'd be an idiot to bet against the Steelers. I bet against them in the past, and they proved me wrong. And then I'm saying, okay, so you're not confident enough to bet. And then you go, no, absolutely not. They're only going to win 8 or 9 games this year. And I'm like, so they are a threat. It doesn't mean they're going to win. It just means they're a threat. With 4 weeks left in the season, are the Pittsburgh Steelers still going to be in the conversation? Will they still have a path? If you think they're going to win 8 or 9 games, I feel like the answer is yes.
Tim is willing. He follows it up with, I'll be that idiot. Tim is willing to take the bet. Tim, I wish you weren't in Washington because I'd rather have you here where we could actually do dumplings together. That's the fun part and why we bet them. But I'll take you on. It's roughly $10 for dumplings, I think.
Yeah,
call it $10 for an order of dumplings. If the Steelers are above 500, then you'll Venmo me $10 and I'll buy dumplings. If they're below 500, then I'll Venmo you $10. You know I'm good for it because I already paid you $50. And I'll say it right now: virtual shake, shake, shake. So just put in the chat shake, 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 and we'll make that a bet.
It's on. I bet 10 on not 8 or 9 or lower. There we go. There you have it.
All right.
Ready for the drama when they win 9 games. We're going to have to figure out what to do about the bet, but I love it.
Erik, write it down this time for real, so that way you remember it. I get what you're saying. I get why you're frustrated with my take. I'm just trying to learn from what I've said in years past, because last year I thought for sure they were going to be under 500, right? They didn't do that. They were just on the cusp. They made the playoffs. They did the same thing they've done the last, 5-6 years or however it's been. They've been a little bit better than that, but you know what I'm saying. So to put actual monetary value on the fact that they're going to go under 500, I don't feel confident in doing it. But out of any of the years that I've had to take that the Pittsburgh Steelers are finally going to go under 500, this is the year I feel the most confident because they're betting on an old Aaron Rodgers who has a bunch of drama and a deteriorating team. Something I wanted to follow up too is, yes, I realize I mistaken the age between Myles Garrett and TJ Watt. Myles Garrett has not shown a sign of decrease so far. If you look at just the bare stats, TJ Watt's sacks and numbers have gone down. Myles Garrett played at a defensive player of the year level last year. He was in that conversation. Not saying that TJ Watt isn't one of the best defenders still. I'm just saying he is starting to deteriorate, and it's visible. Pittsburgh fans say it. Tim Lyons is saying it in the chat. If you watch, you can tell it's not the same level as what he was 2 or 3 years ago. That's all I'm saying.
I love Myles, but I could make the same argument the other way. Ever since Myles had COVID, it seems like he takes plays off, that he's gassed easier.
I disagree, because he's won the defensive player of the year since then. So
has
but that's
TJ
a whole
Watt.
other...
That's not a good argument. And everyone said that TJ should have gotten it that year. I don't want to get into that because I don't agree with that, but that's like saying Mobley won defensive player of the year this year. That doesn't mean shit. I'm talking about actually watching with my eyeballs and seeing that he has taken plays off. I'm just saying you can argue it both ways.
Alrighty.
One thing that we didn't cover with the Steelers in particular, if they do fall below 500 this year, miss the playoffs, do you guys think Tomlin is gone or that his seat is hot?
I think he'll be gone if they fall below 500, because I think that'll be kind of the final straw to press like a harder reset button than they have. Not because I'm saying, and I'm leaning into the fact that I think he's an overrated coach because of all of the semantics and stuff that we've talked about before on the show. Check that out if you haven't already. But because it's just time. Sometimes you see things like that happen. You can be at a level where it's time to just cut bait and try some new things and restart fresh, especially with it being like a contract year for TJ Watt and some of the other stuff that they have going on. The only contract I think that they're tethered to is Minka and DK in terms of like big money, big names, but I could be mistaken. I don't have that number in front of me.
Listen, I think that this time of year people forget. So one of the, I don't want to say I hate it because I don't. I even engage in it. But one of the things that we need to take with a fat ass grain of salt is the whole will he or won't he get fired as a coach conversation. Because I am a personal firm believer that you are as safe in your job as the available options. Ryan Day is not safe at Ohio State coming off a national championship if Nick Saban calls and says, I've always wanted to coach the Buckeyes. Can I get a job? He literally just won a national championship, and they might let his ass go.
No coaching chance to go on.
Okay. Maybe that's hyperbole, but you get what I'm saying. Will Mike Tomlin get fired is going to have a really, really, really big amount to do with who's available to take the job at the time. Steelers fans are getting disenchanted with him. I understand why, because they're used to winning Super Bowls, and they haven't in a while, but also – it's hard to fire one of the longest tenured coaches in the league who's never had a losing season because he finally has one losing season with a dumpster fire at the quarterback position and pretty much for the whole offense.
Yeah, if they fire him, first of all, or he leaves on his own terms, as Tim said, I hope the Browns scoop him up immediately. I think that he is one of the best players, coaches in the league, and his deficiencies can be solved with good coordinators. You put a good OC with him, you put a good DC with him. He does what head coaches are supposed to do, and that's be that leader of men. We've talked about it on the show before, and be the overall game guy. Yeah, some of his in-game decisions aren't great, but I would hope that the Browns would hire him immediately. Sorry, Stefanski, you got to go.
We're getting off the beaten path, and I'd like to talk some Browns OTAs now.
Wow. I can't believe that you still hate on one of the winningest coaches in the league. It's insane.
He needs a break, man. It's okay. You can let it rest.
All right. Moving on, because I want to talk Browns OTAs as well. There's some big headlines coming out talking about what quarterback is getting what reps, the fact that Myles Garrett has been asked to be a leader, but he isn't there. I mentioned that Noah was in Turks and Caicos, which means he had a little extra time on his hands, and he created this to get us going. those balls were crisp. And that's what I care about the most. Gentlemen, where do we want to start? Do we want to start with Myles or do we want to start with the QB situation? Noah, you're our football head, so you tell us.
Yeah, let's start with Myles, because I feel like that is the biggest talking point of everything that we have going on right now. And I'll tee us off with the argument. We have this argument every single year about Myles Garrett, whether it be a contract year, whether it be post defensive player of the year, whether it be a 10-7 season or an 0-17 season, whatever you want to say. Myles Garrett hasn't been showing up to OTAs for a very long time. Stars in the NFL don't show up to OTAs. It's what happens, especially when it's a non-padded. You're really not going to get anything crazy done when you're on the line of scrimmage anyway. Other notable names that weren't there: Njoku, Conklin, Bitonio, Greg Newsome, all were not there. I say all of that because I have been on the mindset and I have been on the talking point that many people have been. Ethan Greenberg, one of our fellow Fans First contributors here, is upset that people are even talking about Myles not going to OTA. He sent that in when we started our show. I don't care that Myles isn't attending, but I do at the same time because of this quote by Jimmy Haslam. And that quote goes by, "What we challenge Myles on is, by his practice habits, his actions, etc., to become a real leader of the team." Now, OTAs don't matter. The stats that we're going to talk about with the rookie quarterbacks and the fresh faces in that room do not matter. But when you're getting challenged by your boss, I don't know about you guys, but that scratches the competitive itch in me that I was nurtured in my football and my sports career to want to be better and do better things. So to me, it irks me a little bit this year just because of that quote, but it also is still a nothing burger and it's OTAs. What do you guys think?
I think there's a big difference between – I disagree with so much of your take that it's crazy. I thought we would start with quarterback because I think Myles Garrett's a non-story. I disagree with him being a leader of the team. I don't think a boss who actually thinks you should lead should give you $250 million guaranteed. Well, not fully guaranteed, but he got a huge contract to stay here. And then they're saying, now that I gave you a boatload of money, change your behavior. I think is all wild. The piece that I agree with is that I think it's a non-story because this is what he's always done. A lot of people want Myles Garrett to lead. We don't need to relitigate that. We fought about it twice already. Whether you think he should lead or you think he shouldn't, the fact is he isn't a leader. So to expect somebody who was never a leader to come in and lead because he now got the biggest contract in NFL history is the definition of stinking thinking. So, and I'm not saying
hold on.
That he should be the one to lead this team. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I don't give a shit what Jimmy Haslam says, and neither does Myles Garrett. I got my money. I'm the defensive player of the year caliber player, and I'll be there when I get there. And if you want me there, make it mandatory.
Pause real quick because I agreed with everything you said up to talking about him being a leader. The owner and the coach, your bosses, have told you they want to see you become more of a leader. Yep. That's a direction that they told you they want to see you go. If your boss tells you, hey, I want to see more of X out of you, you strive to do that. So
no, not if you got the money already. You strive to do that because you want to get paid.
So you get your paycheck, so you're not going to – if they paid your year's salary in advance, that's a ridiculous –
it's not
seeing
ridiculous.
It on that.
You can disagree with it and not call it ridiculous. It's not ridiculous to think that a man who already got the money would be less motivated to do what his boss says. If he doesn't want to do what his boss says and his boss gets pissed, his boss can fire him. You're going to fire a guy who you have to pay $100 million?
That sounds worse. Just because he got the money, he doesn't want to be a leader?
Because he didn't get the money, he doesn't want to come to something that's optional. And
No, I think the OTAs are stupid. He doesn't have to come to that. I'm not talking about that at all. You dovetailed it into just because Jimmy said he wants you to be a leader, you don't have to do that. You got your money. I think that's a take that I don't agree with at all.
I'm not saying that's my take. I'm saying that's Myles' take, and I'm okay with it. I would show up differently. If I were in that situation, would I go about my business the way Myles Garrett has? Probably not. I'd be the first one there, the last one gone, trying to show that I earned the C on my chest. What I'm saying is before he got his bag, he'd proven to you he didn't want to lead. So giving him a bunch more money and then saying, now do it, is idiotic on Jimmy Haslam's part. That's what I'm saying. He's demonstrated.
I disagree
he
because
want to do it. So why
if you're
surprised now that he got paid?
We could talk in circles about this. And again, maybe he will step up and be that leader. The OTAs don't prove nothing. It's a Cleveland media bullshit story. But to say that the owner gave you more money and requested X of you, and you shouldn't have to do that because you don't want to. If your boss came to you,
I think you're misunderstanding
my
point. I want to cut you off because you misstated what I said. I didn't say because he gave you more money, you should have more of a reason to fuck off. I'm saying as the owner of the team who pays the salaries, if you thought Myles Garrett should be a better leader, you should have said, I'll give you a bigger contract when you lead. You shouldn't have said, here's all the money. Now I hope you do what I asked you to do before when I've never done it at any other point.
I still think it's a bad take because if your boss comes to you and says, hey, I'm promoting you, but I want to see more leadership out of you.
Stop comparing it to me, man. We don't make $100 million a year, bro.
Just because the money's bigger doesn't mean the responsibility.
Yes, it does. It absolutely does.
Guys. So I was letting y'all spiral for a minute, but the question on the table is OTAs and Myles Garrett. We've had this argument. We've gone down this rabbit hole on the channel already.
Oh, you technically brought it up, brother.
Me?
Yeah, you said that on the one hand, OTAs are dumb,
well,
but on the other hand...
Right, and that's why I think it's connected. We're having the same argument about how Myles should act if XYZ on Jimmy.
And to answer the question, I think this is a complete nothing story. OTAs are not mandatory. If you want a guy to show up, then exactly as John said, make them mandatory. I think this is nothing. I don't feel any way positive or negative towards Myles Garrett for missing OTAs or any other guy. I do think it's bullshit that Myles is the only one that gets called out. That sucks. I don't know why that's the case. But again, it's a nothing story. He doesn't have to be there, period.
It is at the end of the day. A lot of this is going to end up being a nothing story because that's what OTAs is at the end of the day. Right. There's fun stuff for us to follow. There's fun stuff for us to talk about. We can be excited about a quarterback competition and all that. The fact of the matter is, go ahead.
I was just going to say, speaking of,
go ahead.
Let's move on. That's a great segue because we do have a quarterback battle. We have signed 52 quarterbacks to the Cleveland Browns, every single roster spot, and we're just going to see what happens at this point. In all seriousness, though, we have a competition on our hands a little bit that maybe people didn't think we would have. Shedeur Sanders obviously was the flashier pick, even though he fell. You have Gabriel. You have Old Man. I'm not sure what's going to happen. That's leaving off Kenny Pickett as well. I'm not sure what's going to happen, but I want to hear what you guys think. Noah, you have, I think you have a graphic of the reps. Can you put that up real quick?
Yeah. So this shows the 11-on-11 reps that happened today. Day 2 of OTAs between Sanders, Flacco, Gabriel, and Pickett. So you can kind of see what the rep split looked like there. And this is, again, for 11-on-11 only. So this isn't every drill that happened at practice. Sanders went 7 for 9, 3 touchdowns in the red zone on 11-11. Flacco actually started us off, despite the fact that the previously rumored depth chart of Kenny Pickett, then Dylan Gabriel, then Joe Flacco, then Shedeur Sanders in that order, being the depth chart that they are going to start out with. Being true for most of this practice. Flacco did start with the ones during this 11-on-11 period. Gabriel went 11 for 16, 2 touchdowns and a pick. And then Pickett went 9 for 16 with 0 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Classic Kenny Pickett football, might I add.
Which, to be fair, correct me if I'm wrong, but like Sanders had the most touchdowns, but he had most of the reps inside the red zone, which resulted in that.
Correct. I think obviously we weren't there to watch the practice. I don't know if their 11-on-11 period was specifically red zone 11-on-11. So 25-yard in, just running plays 1st and 10 from there. And that's how they ran it. But Sanders did get the least amount of reps, is in that number 4 quarterback spot.
Yeah.
They are putting the pressure to my boy, legendary himself.
Oh, God.
But that's okay, because he is going to be the week 1 starter in my mind.
I think that the most important stat on that chart is going to be the most overlooked one, which is the denominator of the completions. Noah, great point. They flipped what they thought the depth chart was going to be on its head a bit and who actually went out when. But if you look at how many total attempts each quarterback had, the Pickett, Gabriel, Flacco, Sanders holds pretty strong. I don't take a lot in TDs and interceptions when guys are in shorts and T-shirts and only wearing helmets and cleats. I look at what's going on with the reps. If we're going to take anything away from it, it's that who played first might not matter. Who played most might be a best way to evaluate what the Browns are thinking at depth chart.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because one of the news items coming out today was in regards to Joe Flacco, saying that he reiterated, and he's been very clear on this, he does not want to be a mentor. That's not what he's there to do. He's not there to sit on the bench and mentor younger guys. He expects to play and be number 1. And hearing that today, my first thought was, this guy's going to be traded.
See, I disagree with you on that. I think Flacco is going to be here and be in that role. He did the same thing kind of with Anthony Richardson, right? Like, obviously, he still has the talent. He still wants to play. That's the mentality you want out of any guy, regardless if it's your 1, 2, 3 practice squad quarterback, whatever. That being said, I think that the reverse is happening here, and they're talking and they're putting a lot of shine on Kenny Pickett right now because they want to do what they did in a way with Travis Hunter, a lot smaller, talking him up a bunch. And we really like him and he looks great and he fits our system. So that way they can trade and get some value out of him. They used a 5th round pick from this previous draft, so the Shedeur Sanders draft, to acquire Kenny Pickett. They were trying to get rid of picks this year anyway. Picking up a project quarterback that fits the staple of an Andrew Berry project, a former 1st round pick with some upside, and then dumping him later on because you want to use the old vet that works in the system and work with the 2 rookie quarterbacks that kind of fell in your lap, your guy Dylan Gabriel and a high upside many of us thought was a 1st round talent in Shedeur Sanders, and roll with those 3. That's what I think's happening here as opposed to that. Joe Flacco has never changed his tune on this, so for him to go out there and say anything different now would honestly shock me.
So speaking of Kenny Pickett, there's 2 things that I wanted to bring up regarding him. First of all, Terry Bradshaw said that Pickett was not a failure. The Steelers were the failure in that situation. But then Pickett also appeared to take some shots at the Steelers organization kind of in a subtweet kind of manner. He was asked about his 1 season in Philadelphia, and his response was, "I'm extremely grateful for my time in Philly. I think I was just shown how it's supposed to be done really from the top down. You get a chance to see what it's supposed to look like and how it should look on a day-to-day basis, not just on Sundays. I think it'll pay dividends for me in the future." Obviously not directly calling out Pittsburgh, but it sure as hell seems like he's doing exactly that. What do you guys take from that?
I think the very next former Steeler to become Brown that ends up on top will be the first. It was cute to take a shot, but for the reasons we talked about with the Steelers record, not that the Steelers are the end-all be-all anymore that they were when they had the Hines Ward kind of teams that went to Super Bowls, but if you're waiting for the former Steelers quarterback turned Cleveland Brown to shut all the haters up, I'd love to see it as much as the next guy. I'm not holding my breath.
But I don't think he was taking the shot because he's a Browns fan. I mean, he was asked about his time in Philly.
I just mean the Steelers are good. The Browns have sucked. And in him being in Cleveland, he's like, oh, now I see what it's supposed to be like. Okay. Well, can you play what it's supposed to be like? Because that's what matters. He wasn't quarterback for the teams in the Super Bowl. And I don't mean to yeah, go ahead.
No, I should have clarified my question, because I guess what I'm asking is, what do you think the biggest differences were that he saw saying that Philadelphia is the organization top down, whereas Pittsburgh isn't? Like, why is he calling out Pittsburgh here, saying like they didn't really do him dirty or anything? So why that take? What makes Philly show him how it's supposed to be done as an organization compared to Pittsburgh?
a Super Bowl ring versus some mediocre coaching from some shit offensive coordinators. I mean, it's clear as day to me. And if you don't know, you're not in the weeds. The Browns have tailored what they're doing in terms of building a roster and how they act very close to what the Philadelphia Eagles have done, whether that be building on the defensive line and then adding your pieces, making pieces fit around a quarterback that maybe isn't a franchise guy. Who knows? Franchise guy, meaning, yes, I think highly of Jalen Hurts, but he's not Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes in terms of talent, right? It feels like the Browns are building what the Eagles have done. And the reason for that is the connection between Andrew Berry and a lot of people in that front office. Now, for those who, again, don't know, I don't really see this as much of a shot at Pittsburgh as you can make it out to be. If it is, I think it's just trying to do fan service because he's a Browns quarterback now. And that being said, still, I think he's just speaking highly about a really good experience. He got to have some playing time there, whether it be in the Super Bowl or towards the end of the season when Jalen Hurts was hurt. And now he's a Super Bowl champion and can say, yeah, I played in the Super Bowl. Wouldn't you speak highly about that too? Because I know I would.
Well, when you're kicking as much ass as they were, you and I and John could have been in it as well. I do want to clarify real quick the comments made by Joe Flacco, because I think this distinction is important. He said, it's a good question, but somebody to bait somebody into answering, and no matter how they answer it, it kind of makes the guy that's answering it look bad. If I say I don't want to be a mentor, I look bad. If I say I do want to be a mentor, then I look like an idiot that doesn't care about being good and playing football. So it's one of those questions that no matter what I say, you guys can write what you want to write about it. And there's a lot of questions like that. That's why you end up having to try to avoid them. I tend to be honest, and I've said I'm not a mentor. I play football. And in a quarterback room, there's a lot of times already, there's been already a ton of times where there's learning experiences. And I have a lot of experience and I can talk on things, and hopefully they listen, but it's not necessarily my job to make sure they listen to me. Hopefully you have a really good relationship with the guys that are in the room and you naturally want to do that. And I think that broader context just has me want to say that's my quarterback.
No, that's exactly how I would want him to answer that too. You don't want him to be the quarterback coach. We hired a quarterback coach to be the quarterback coach. But if he has something to say or can input, you want him to input, basically what he said. So I agree. And with that broader context, get Kenny Pickett off my team and give me Joe Flacco week 1. I was kidding earlier when I said Shedeur Sanders week 1. Yes, I stand Shedeur Sanders, but I just want to see the Cleveland Browns win a game at the end of the day. John, did you have anything you want to jump in here? I have some quick hit news pieces that I wanted to get your guys' reactions from.
Just a couple other quick hitting things that I would tap. 30 seconds or less. One, don't forget that these kids are like in their 20s. So no matter what they say, no matter what they quote, they're going to regret it in 20 years because they're not mature enough socially or emotionally to have hundreds of millions of dollars and be in front of cameras every day. So let's give them a little bit of grace. The other one is, I don't mind the answer about not being a mentor. You know who does want to be a mentor who's in the Browns quarterback room? Deshaun Watson.
Oh, God. I forgot
he showed up for OTAs today.
I'll leave that right there. That's all I had to add.
I know it's probably uncouth to ban him, but can we not ban him or something? Can he not practice in Toledo?
You could ban me from my own house for $40 million a year, brother.
That's what I'm saying. But just as an organization, who the fuck wants him around? Pardon my French.
They have to.
Do they?
Fines. Yes, they do. They have to because of the contract.
Unfortunately,
and because of his rehab and all of that, and insurance and blah. Yeah, there's a lot of things that go into that. I have 3 pieces of news that I want to get your reactions on. Today was the OTA day where media members were allowed to be there. So of course, a lot of the bigger names in the Cleveland sports world were able to get their own reactions. The first one, of course, I got to start with my boy Shedeur. Dale Reuter says, you could tell Shedeur Sanders has been putting in work on his mechanics. Noticeable difference to me how he threw the ball today versus rookie minicamp. Looks more fluid and a lot more tight spirals. Not really anything crazy to say other than yep, but I wanted to give that a shout out just because that's the main thing. There was a lot of question with the work ethic and that kind of thing. And let's hope he keeps moving down this path for the sake of us three as Browns fans.
It's better than not looking good, but Brandon Whedon and Derek Anderson looked very good in training camp as well. So
no, for sure.
I mean, the fact that the kid's willing to put in the work.
No, it's great. Like I said, it's
more
than
Johnny Football didn't.
That's true too. I'm not saying it's nothing. I'm just saying it's not a lot.
Fair. The next one, we'll sprinkle in what I think is a negative headline here and then finish with a positive one. Deontay Johnson, problem wide receiver. We signed him for next to nothing off the street to potentially be wide receiver 2 or 3. He was not at OTAs today. And I know we just went through this whole thing about not going to OTAs doesn't matter. But for a guy that needs to show his work ethic and his attitude towards a team, to me, he is not no Myles Garrett. You better be at OTAs, and he was not. Yeah. So I give a big thumbs down to that.
If you're a bubble guy, get your fucking ass there. Like, you're showing that you don't want to play professional football. That's what that says to me, because you are not Myles Garrett. You're dead ass right, and I know they're optional, but yeah, I'm going to change my tune, because if you're on the bubble, I don't know what you're doing not showing up. That's crazy.
For sure.
I don't think it's that crazy if you have confidence in your game. I agree with your sentiment. I think if you want to make a good impression and your spot isn't guaranteed, it's in your best interest to come to everything. Optional, not optional, be the first one in, last one out, set the tone. That's it. I mean, we're talking about pro athletes and 20-year-olds again. Like, I know if all three of us got a meeting invite tomorrow and your boss said, hey, we're going to have a meeting, could be interesting, but I'm going to list you as optional, that it's optional, and we may or may not be there. So I don't want to kill him for not showing up to something that's not mandatory, but is it in his best interest to show up? Probably. I just don't. OTAs is the time. This is the second silly season right after like the couple weeks leading up to the draft where everybody's like, there was a guy in sweatpants doing this on a bike, and there was a girl over here rubbing this guy's leg. Is he injured? And this guy didn't show up to a mini camp, OTA, rookie only, optional. Like, either you can play or you can't. This won't make a difference in whether or not he makes the roster.
Do you guys think that other cities are like this? Like, in New
100%.
York right now, hold on, let me finish. In New York right now, where they have good baseball being played, or in LA where they have really good baseball being played, do you think there are people sitting around like fangirling over OTAs? I don't 100%. Think so.
Yeah. This is
we do in Cleveland.
Maybe not like Cleveland, but there's a lot of franchises, especially bad franchises, because you're looking for the first glimmer of hope and reason to believe. Maybe not quite like Cleveland, but if you don't think there are a bunch of Jets fans watching these rookies work out, I think you're crazy.
No, I think it's 100% like that, because there's a reason the NFL takes the cake in terms of all the American professional sports leagues. I mean, for Christ's sakes, we had a 3-hour NFL schedule release show on ESPN, and I don't know what the numbers did, but the fact that they could even justify putting that on the air is all you need to know about the grasp that the NFL has on the average American. The last piece of news I want to get into, I got to end it with one of my big boys. Shout out DeJuan Jones. He showed up to OTAs. He is there. He is playing left tackle as expected and, quote, is in terrific shape. Yeah. The shape has been a big question mark with him. Part of the reason for injuries, potentially. That boy has always been pushing 415. Saying he looks good shape. Obviously, we don't have a weight or a number or a thought process there yet, but just hearing that is good news following another injury-ended season for the boy from OSU.
Knock on wood. Yeah. If he can stay healthy, I mean, he is a mountain of a man, and hopefully, like his Game of Thrones doppelganger in terms of name, the Mountain, maybe he could just be a force that he can't get hurt, because, I mean, that dude is massive.
Massive indeed.
I'll give a 30-second take instead of a 10-second take, because this was a accidental leak of my hot take. But knowing we were talking a ton about OTAs, I was going to say that all the news out of OTAs is pretty much bullshit that you can ignore. Who comes, who goes, who's there, who's not, who's hurt, who's sitting, who's in, who's first team. None of it matters. The only thing that matters is if you were fat last year or you were injured last year and you come back healthy or you come back skinny, that is big news. That's the only news where I look, hey, this dude who was a tub of goo last year and got his money and thought he could just coast, busted his ass and lost 40 pounds and looks in the best shape of his life. That's the only stuff that's newsworthy. Doesn't guarantee Jawad Jones a roster spot or a Hall of Fame career, but it shows that he's willing to put in the work.
You just reminded me of something completely different sport, but Luka Doncic's girlfriend posted this meal she was making, and people were commenting because it was healthy, and they're like, "Oh, we're cooked." He's got his girlfriend cooking healthy meals now, so that's fair. That's a fair.
Chicken and rice. Oh man, Lakers win the
league
West.
Is done. All right. Well, I think we've wrapped this topic up. We've gone a little longer than we intended, but we're going to take a quick break, but stay tuned because we are going to talk some sports villains. I think we'll cover it pretty quickly as we're already at the hour mark, over the hour mark, but we'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back to At the Office. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube and check us out on Instagram and TikTok. Shout out to Fans for Sports, our parent network. They have a lot of great shows. If you like what we do, then chances are pretty good that you're going to like a few others on the network as well. So make sure that you check them out. And also make sure you get in on the action and get some At the Office merch. If you watched our live show recently, you might have noticed some folks wearing some merch in the background. Mainly Noah's family, but it was pretty cool nonetheless. You can be just as cool. Head over to attheofficecle.com. That's attheofficecle.com. We are working on getting some new merch in there. There are no excuses, but Noah will be in Belize, so it's going to be a little longer. Actually, it's not on him at all. It's on me. But we're working on that. There's going to be some new styles, some new pretty cool graphic tee kind of things just to tease a little bit. Most will have that Cleveland vibe with it. So stay tuned for that, but make sure you pick up some gear. All right, gentlemen, it's been a long show already, but I do want to talk some sports villains. This whole topic kind of kicked off because of Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese once again getting into it. And it made me think that to talk about the heel in sports and those personal villain stories or arcs. Noah put together a video for us once again. I told you he has a lot of time on his hands. So Noah, hit that, intro it for us.
Wide open. You knew that Caitlin Clark was going to come in and take that foul.
Unreal. What a game. And how about Mr. Halliburton?
On the sideline, the whole time it seemed like Vontez perfect, and yes.
Enjoy yourself, dog. You bitch, fuck you. I am not a role model.
And Angel Reese knows a ring is coming.
That clip of Michael gets me every time. Like, it just has me laughing. That dude, man, was the ultimate competitor. Also why he has no friends. But let's get into it. I want to hear your guys' takes on how you feel about those contentious relationships. The thing is that typically speaking, there's always a villain and a hero, right? More recently, Caitlin Clark, since we talked about that off the jump, she's put into the media as more of the hero figure, where the rest of the league's trying to tear her down, in particular Angel Reese. I think both of them are just competitors, and I think Angel Reese gets a lot of hate that she shouldn't get. Let me say that first and foremost. But at the same time, I think her being in that villain role, maybe popping off on Caitlin Clark when it's just a hard foul that's part of basketball, I think that's good for the sport, because it makes the narratives more interesting and it makes you want to tune in. But I want to hear what you guys think. I think we're back to John starting. If we're not, we're going to do that anyway. So John, go ahead. Give me your take.
Yeah, my long and short of it is it makes the game better. Yes, 100%. When I think about the greatest rivalries or the greatest performers and the people who can knock them off, that was the most fun of watching any sport for all the sports. My favorite era in tennis was Pete Sampras and Andre Agassi, or Venus and Serena on the women's side, going back and forth at it as sisters. Favorite in golf was Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson. Favorite in boxing was Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield. Ali Frazier should be in that conversation, even though much to, Noah, this might be a surprise, was not alive for the Ali Frazier fights. Gretzky and Lemieux, Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. The list goes on and on. The way you end up with a Superman is to have a villain. There is no Batman without the Joker and the Riddler and the Catwoman, right? Like, you got to have the yin to the yang. And in my opinion, it always makes the sport better. The only thing that I think I hate, or the hedge that I would have, is when people take up political, personal, socioeconomic kind of feelings and put it into the sports. Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese have a hell of a rivalry. They're both amazing competitors. We've been watching it since college. We're going to be watching it in pro. It's like Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. But when Magic and Larry were going back and forth, there were just a certain number of people that go, this is a black guy versus a white guy. It's less racially charged than it was in the 70s and 80s. When I see the comments and look at social media and see the stuff's going on, why is Angel Reese the bad girl? Why is Caitlin Clark the good girl? Do they really either of them do anything better or worse than each other? I think the rivalry is great for the sport. I want to overanalyze it, but just be careful to not let your implicit bias project onto these great athletes doing their thing. But outside of a little bit of misplaced social anxiety on these athletes based on things that don't really come down to them, yeah, I'm all in for the rivalries. I think they're great for sports. I think they're great for the sport that they're in, and they're great for the teams that these folks play for.
You kind of stole the words out of my mouth. No, I want to hear from you in a second, but I was going to say essentially the exact same thing, that too often we, as society, we frame these matchups exactly as you're saying in a broader landscape than what they are, which is a sports rivalry. And when that happens, particularly on the negative side, and that's where we see it the most, it's really frustrating, and we need to do better in general. And the media plays into it. I think they're a part of it. They know exactly what they're doing when they're posting those clips and getting those reactions online, because all they care about are eyeballs or clicks, regardless of what that does to us. In an effort to divide us. I know that sounds crazy, but that's what we're dealing with in that particular scenario and those two particular players. And I think that's a shame because they're both really, really good athletes. These are two women that, I mean, they square off, and they were 1 and 2 in Rookie of the Year, and they're so much fun. Both of them are so fun to watch. That it's a shame that it has to devolve, especially some of the comments you see on social media. Just remember, folks, that social media is not real life. Yeah. One more point I want to make to John's point, and that is, my guy, you could choose any tennis guys in the world, and you went back to Sampras. I mean, we had the core 3, really 4, but which is the greatest tennis of all time. But that's okay. I'll forgive you. You're just... Can I
jump in?
Please.
So before I go immature with this, I want to say that I echo the sentiment of everything that you guys have to say, minus the fact that I've always kind of thought Angel Reese is a little overrated. She can't score the ball to save her life. Her shooting percentages are god awful. But she has the hype, and she has a lot of the different things that are going for her, whether it be the LSU run. Go ahead.
Wasn't she the quickest, most double doubles or triple doubles in WNBA history, something like that?
So 10 and 10.
I don't remember the stat, but I mean, come on, give some credit where it's due, my man.
What are you doing?
I also don't like her own rhetoric towards Caitlin Clark in general. It gives jealousy, as we've talked about on this show before. When we dove into that rivalry and those comments that they made towards each other last WNBA season. Now, I say all of that to get past the super mature level takes that you guys have to get to the point that I am the resident wrestling fan, and God damn it, I love a good heel. They're good for the sport. They are good for the entertainment factor. How much do you hate Draymond Green, both of you?
Quite a bit. He's a player I'd love to have in a Cavs uniform in his prime, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I'll throw you your bone.
Does that not make that rivalry better?
For sure, but the part of the reasons I hate Draymond beyond just normal hate is he's a douchebag that's kicking people and shit. Like, he takes it beyond sport. That's my biggest problem with Draymond.
Right, but it's still good for the sport because people pay attention and listen and get pissed off or love him because he's on the Warriors and you're a Warriors fan. It is all good for the sport, and it makes the game better because it gives it gives people a bad guy. In our eyes, Stephen Curry is an asshole. He threw his mouth guard and all of that, but to most people, he is one of the faces of the NBA. I know I'm being hyperbolic when I say he's an asshole or whatever to us. If you don't respect Stephen Curry's game even after the rivalry, I don't know what's wrong with you.
Well, you can be both, Noah. Like, you can be an asshole and the face of the game.
Right,
a lot of people
100%.
who tell stories about Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. None of them said, what a kind-hearted, loving human being. They said he was a dick, but he was good at basketball.
I agree with you. And the other thing I wanted to point out is I just love a good heel, man. Growing up, everybody has their father. They have a favorite player. My dad loved Michael Jordan, as a lot of parents, or you guys, well, John potentially did.
I love Michael Jordan as the father. My dad liked Dr. J, but continue.
You know what I mean. My favorite vintage basketball player has been and will always be one Charles Barkley, because of the "I'm not a role model" ad. It just gave badass, and that gives him. I know he didn't win a ring, and there's a lot of disgruntled. You could say a lot of different things about him, but having that heel role in sports to me is so important. The Aaron Judge boo going to the bat, or hell, even I'm not condoning what the Astros did, but the group effort of hatred towards a team for whatever reason, whether it be the Yankees, the Astros, the Cowboys in the NFL, the Lakers and the Celtics in the NBA, just the heel role in sports to me is so important, because if it was everybody's hunky-dory all the time, it would take I'd still watch sports probably just because I'm that far into it, but it would take a little bit of the edge off.
100%, you're right. I think that there is the heel. I think it's funny that you bring up the Yankees to kind of bring it full circle. Like, everyone loves to hate those teams. I think that Houston maybe took the mantle after their cheating scandal.
Right.
They should have just been banned outright from baseball, period. But it makes the game so much more fun to watch, those rivalries. And Jordan is a perfect example. I mean, if you haven't watched that, I know you two have, but if you haven't watched that documentary, go watch it. I think it's now on Netflix. Because goddamn, nobody likes him. I mean, nobody likes him. And he's arguably one of, if not the greatest basketball player of all time. LeBron, same way. He played that role when he went to Miami, and it kind of worked for him a little bit. Although I will say one of my favorite all-time fake commercials is they paired Nike or LeBron's Nike commercial where it's like, what, shiny new shoes? Like, he's kind of complaining of the hate he's getting because LeBron never likes to be hated. And then it cut to a Jordan Nike commercial from back in the day, and they flow perfectly where Jordan's like, what, you thought it was easy? And then such a good commercial. I don't know if you guys have seen that, combine that, but
it's an excellent commercial. And I will say, no, I was shaking my head and making faces, not because I disagree with you. Just the fact that your age means that a nostalgic basketball player is Charles Barkley. Bro, when the original Dream Team went to Barcelona in '92, I was in elementary school. I actually watched them play, and you're like, a nostalgic player. I'm like, Oscar Robertson is a nostalgic player.
That's nostalgic.
It still could be nostalgic for you. Yeah,
that's fair. I'm not criticizing. It's just the reason I was shaking my head. We evolved the conversation, and I love it too. We started off talking about one-on-one rivalries between people, Caitlin Clark, Tiger Woods. We listed some people. We have one person who's kind of your evil empire. But I like where we headed to. My favorite some of my favorite memories are watching big time rivalries. Once the Cleveland teams are out, watching some of the other cities with big rivalries, like Lakers Celtics was a big deal. Boston, New York is a big deal. My favorite non-Guardians baseball series, I might have to eat this later, but I'm thinking of it offhand. The Red Sox going down 3-1 to the Yankees and then winning 3 in a row to beat them and go to their first World Series and win it since the curse of the Bambino. Like, that is an awesome freaking year. And the Red Sox Yankees ALCS was unbelievable. Like, it was so lit. That first one.
Even as a former Yankees fan, I will say that the movie Fever Pitch that was shot during that run, so it's with what's his name, the late night guy, Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah,
he plays like it's a romantic comedy, right? And he plays a Boston, like crazy Boston fan, like season tickets with his friends. They divide it up like it's a holiday kind of thing.
Yeah,
they were shooting the movie while those playoffs were happening and fully expected them to lose, obviously. And they had to change the movie because they went on and won. And it completely changed the ending of the movie. It's a good movie, even as a former Yankees fan.
Yeah,
from my misguided youth.
It hurt because the Manny Ramirez left Cleveland thing was still recent enough at the time. Like, now it seems like ancient history, but so many players from those great 90s Indians teams went on to help some of these other franchises win World Series. Good for them, because I didn't hate any of them, but except Albert Bell, he's kind of an asshole, but I like him now.
Yeah.
But you get
taking out that second baseman, though, is one of the greatest flips of all time. I mean, he could have played pro football the way he took that dude out.
He was a menace.
All right.
Joey, don't call him Joey.
Before we move on to hot takes, do you guys have anything else to add on sports villainry?
No, I got to be up in about 5 hours, so I'm ready to keep it pushing.
To go to Belize?
I gotta go to Belize. Oh.
You know what? We'll be back after this break. We're going to do another hour. Noah, kiss my ass.
Hey, I would go another hour, honestly.
All right. On that note, I do want to move on to final takes, hot takes. Noah, give me your hot take first. I think John told us his, so he might have to scramble for one. So, Noah, you go first.
I am switching up hot takes for me personally. I have had this game sitting in my desk forever, and I think it'll be a fun way to break up the end of the show. It is the NFL Trivia Challenge.
Oh, nice.
So
I thought it was going to be your Pokemon, but go on.
No Pokemon today. I'm going to ask you a trivia question, see if you get it right. If you don't, I don't know. We'll figure out a punishment later.
If I'm betting, John's going to win this.
The question of the day is, what team went from the AFC to the NFC as part of the league's realignment for 2002? AFC to NFC in 2002.
I almost said the Colts, but they're still in the fucking AFC. So not my answer. AFC to NFC in 2002. AFC to NFC.
Type your comments in the comments below, so if you get it right. Let's see if Tim knows in the comments as well, if he's still here as well.
I'm going to go with, I don't know why I want to say Tampa Bay Bucks, but I think that's just because they won the 2002 Super Bowl.
Cardinals or Rams? I don't know.
Time is up. The answer is the Seattle Seahawks.
You know what? I almost said them. I just didn't realize they're in the AFC. All right, that's a good trivia question.
And Tim said it right as I said Seattle Seahawks. So Tim got the question right. Go on.
That makes sense. He lives out there. John, you ready for one?
No.
I can give you more time. All right, I'll go first.
All right. I do have one other one that I was on the X's of the world and the Instagrams. I'm seeing a ton of scuttlebutt about what we can and can't do as a second apron team for the Cleveland Cavaliers this offseason. If you sit tight, you're saying, yeah, we got this. We'll just get a little bit better next year. But if you make a move, you're saying, hey, I got to give up on somebody.
Jared
a couple
Allen.
people making an argument for trading Evan Mobley for Giannis Antetokounmpo straight up. And if
sure.
I could do it, I would do it. And that was a hot take at the office today. I don't know if it's a hot take with you two, but I love
It is
Mobley.
a hot take.
We would have to pay for that move in 3, 4, 5, 6 years, depending on when Mobley gets really good and what the Bucks do. But if you're asking me, how can we make this window work? Give me Giannis for Mobley tomorrow. No questions asked.
Hard agree. And I think Mobley is the key to actually unlocking our success in the future. I wish we could trade Jared Allen straight up.
Yeah.
I'll even give you Garland, but no, I'd make that trade immediately. It makes us a better team, period.
I'm going to just hold my tongue because we've been going for long enough, and maybe this could be a topic for next week's show. Maybe John fed us something for the time being.
Actually, I do want to make that a topic, so we will leave it here. When are you back, by the way, Noah?
I will be back for the next show. We are all good to go. We are on normal togetherness. Our Monday shows will be back, not this coming up Monday, but the following Monday as well. Matt is back in action with me. We're going to talk some Cleveland Guardians, get back in the swing of thing for the boys of the summer. But yeah, I will be back Tuesday officially. And Tim Lyons asked where I'm going. I'm going to Belize.
Yeah, and for those of you scoring at home, he just got back from Turks and Caicos yesterday. So
yeah, this guy, like, literally, I don't know. It's crazy. My hot take. You might be wondering why I'm wearing highlighter yellow today. And the reason is that blue is the color and football is the game. Today, lads, Chelsea has won its final European Cup. So it's the newly minted Conference League. It's been around for a couple years now. But that makes them the only team in the history of football/soccer to win every major European trophy. No other team has done it. They are the only ones. Some other teams have an opportunity in the future. Some do not, because some of these cups have since retired. But they have won it all, and they also placed 4th this year. It was a tight race to get to 4 at the end, but that means that they will be playing Champions League football. I have the trophy. It's in another room. I should have grabbed that so I could hold it up. But they will be playing Champions League football next year, and I am determined to get you guys into it more. So we're going to pick a night, like once a month-ish, and we're going to go watch some soccer.
My boss was watching it because her husband's a fan, and she said, oh, yeah, they won. Now, question, 10 seconds or less, because I know we got to get out. Doesn't winning every trophy mean you got relegated to all of the leagues and had a chance to win them all? Like, isn't part of this saying,
no.
We have to suck bad enough to – something like the Browns went 0-16. If we want to have a championship, we can get a championship.
No, I said every major European trophy. That's while they've been in the Premier League. So I'm not counting, like, the championship, winning the championship. Yeah, that doesn't count.
Okay. I'll ask you out there what those are, but fair enough for now.
But we're gonna get into it. Don't worry. We're gonna watch some more.
I'll give it a chance when you guys come over to watch Monday Night Raw and then a pay-per-view as well. And you have to come here.
We said we're game for that, and I mean it. I'll go watch. Yeah.
I was getting ready to get to my car to head to the old angle wherever we were going one day. And I texted and said, hey, we still on for soccer? You said, well, since we all forgot about it, never mind. And I just came back in. But we did schedule it once. I was game.
Was it like a Saturday morning?
Something like that, yeah.
I was definitely still in bed. I texted, never mind. I cancel. All right. We'll do that. Old Angle is awesome, even though it's a Man U bar, but it is your quintessential English bar. So it is a good place to watch it. That being said, unfortunately, we have to end our show. I could go all night. Thank you for joining us at The Office, sponsored by D&D Meadery. Don't forget to subscribe or hit that download button if you're listening to the audio-only version of our show. And make sure you check us out on all of our socials, which is at The Office CLE, the @ symbol, The Office CLE. The debate never ends, but the show does for now. We'll see you next time.